WVOX, now Westchester's only community station.
Careful. Oh, sorry.
WVOX.
Welcome back to the Sons of the American Legion Radio Report on WVOX AM 1460 and heard around the world on WVOX.com. We have a special guest coming up on the line, but first, here's Ken.
Hey, thanks, Jack. Good afternoon, everyone listening to WVOX and Sons of the American Legion Radio. We have a special guest. It was really fun for us because we've been doing this long enough that we can call back guests that we've talked to before, and we had a chance to talk with Rear Admiral Mike Manazir at a Navy League event in New York City a couple of years ago, and he subsequently retired from the U.S. Navy. He's now at Boeing. Admiral, good to have you call us today. Good to hear from you again.
Hey, Ken, thanks for having me on the show.
Hey, appreciate it. You've had an extraordinary career in the Navy, graduate of the Naval Academy. You were a fighter pilot, and then you commanded the USS Nimitz and the USS Eisenhower Battle Group. Maybe you just tell us a little bit about some of the highlights of your really extraordinary Navy career.
Well, Ken, thanks. I had some wonderful opportunities from Navy, flying fighters at Tomcats to start with, and from 1983 all the way to 1998 when I commanded an F-14D squadron, then went to nuclear power school to learn how to boil water a different way.
Closer so you can get the microphone out of the way.
That
Okay.
pipeline for essentially a decade, culminating in the command of USS Nimitz from 07 to 09. Got to deploy her quite a bit out to the line, out in the Gulf. We're doing wartime operations over Iraq and Afghanistan. And then I came back and was a striker commander at sea later on. Interspersed in those great tours, and I used to call it going on vacation to sea, I had 5 Pentagon tours. And, I do like to tell people that the Pentagon is the most dangerous area of operations, or AOR, in the world. So it's meaningful to me to be able to continue to, participate and to contribute to the nation's defense as a Boeing executive.
Well, we got a chance to visit the Pentagon with that other group called the Army Football Team in May, so it's good to be there. But tell us a little bit about transitioning from the military. You were at a very senior level, commanding large groups of sailors and Marines, and you switched to a commercial company. What was the transition like for you?
Yeah, first of all, congratulations to that Army team. They obviously demonstrated they weren't a one-time flash in the pan, so they're worthy opponents. And we look forward to regaining our status, this coming December. But my transition, Ken, was a great one. It kind of starts with going to the Pentagon from the fleet. So when you're a hard fleet operator and you're out there on the line and you think that's the most important place, I'll tell you that we need good operators back in the Pentagon to get this stuff right for the troops, to get this stuff right for the nation, and that is getting equipment, out there on the line that's good cost, schedule, and performance. And so I retired out of the N9 position in the OPNAV staff. I was the director of air warfare for a year and a half, starting in June of 2013. And then I worked directly for the Chief of Naval Operations as the N9, essentially responsible for all Navy warfighting capabilities. That allowed me to look across sort of the waterfront, as it were, of capabilities being delivered by our big defense industrial manufacturers. And I always had a wonderful relationship with Boeing as a Navy leader. Whether it was airplanes like the F-18, the P-8, or the E-18G Growler, or all the way down to unmanned systems, which were being tested underwater, capabilities from unclassified capabilities all the way to highly, highly classified capabilities. I found Boeing to be a wonderful partner. And so when the opportunity came to essentially walk across the south parking lot from the Pentagon and work over here at the Long Bridge facility in Arlington, I really I was excited about the opportunity, and I found that the Boeing ethical framework, the set of values here, actually is very similar to our nation's ethical framework, or the Navy's ethical framework if you serve in DoD. And so I felt at home, and it was familiar here. And of course the issues are the same, right? And so I was allowed to continue to tilt at my windmills of acquisition reform, things cost too much and takes too long, focusing on the primacy of cyber defense and offense, and assuring our information and assuring our innovation base and our industrial base. So the transition for me was easy, Ken, because it was in Washington, D.C., and it was still working at the level that I was working at as the N9, just now I have a suit and tie on.
Well, I know we mentioned the audience of Boeing's history, certainly commercial aviation, but also in defense, providing the B-17 in World War II, and now the F-18 fighters, which are still being actively purchased as a very capable asset. Tell us a little bit about some of the products of Boeing for defense, if you would.
Yeah, so it's unique that Bill Boeing's first offering for the Boeing Aircraft Company, which was called something different time in 1916, was actually a Navy airplane. And so for more than 100 years, we've developed airplanes for the Navy specifically, and then of course the ones that you mentioned. What we bring to the table, what we bring to the warfight, what we bring to the warfighter is tried and true technologies that, you know, some, especially in airplanes, will say, hey, that's a legacy airplane, that doesn't apply to the, you know, this current or future warfight anymore. And I beg to differ with that, because the capabilities you can put into airplanes continue to make them relevant against the future threats, especially as we get into this great power competition. So the F-18, of course, is in the news lately because some of the analysts around Washington, D.C. are picking up on the fact that Boeing is seeing a resurgence in airplanes in our Future Year Defense Plan, or FYDP, based on this latest release of the National Defense Authorization Act. That obviously is good news for the company, but more importantly, I think it's good news for the warfighters, because as you bring capability to the fight, the complementary nature of all the platforms that the Navy buys are such that we continue to stay relevant as you go forward. Like I say, people are kind of tending to say, well, that's old technology, when in fact what Boeing brings is state-of-the-art technology leading the threat, and through all of our airframes, like I said, F-18, A-18Gs, P-8s, some unmanned platforms, things like that. So to assign, you know, a legacy platform just the yesteryear is probably a mistake as we look forward to this future fight.
My colleague John's got a question for you.
Yeah, General, we were wondering if perhaps there's a balancing act between new technology and old technology. What are the needs of the Navy in your eyes for the future? I mean, a lot of people talk about things like drones and things like that.
Yeah, thanks, and you honor me with the term general. I'll answer to
I apologize.
Anything, General or Admiral. I appreciate that. The future fight is going to be an electronic fight. It's going to feature more non-kinetic effects like cyber, like electronic warfare, than kinetic effects like dropping a bomb on somebody or shooting a missile at somebody. We are used to kill chains which value the kinetic effect, something blows up at the end. This future fight is going to be machine fast, and so artificial intelligence, autonomy, man-machine teaming are going to be the three core attributes, I think, of successful weapons systems. The idea of unmanned, people assign unmanned as a thing, like an unmanned airplane or an autonomous vehicle that doesn't have a driver, or an unmanned vessel, when actually unmanned is an attribute. If we find that the weapons system overall and the kill chain overall is best served by having a node in that kill chain that is unmanned, then I think you bring that to the fore. But the idea of a single decision maker in the midst of a whole bunch of different, like, pieces or nodes, like let's say one pilot is in an E-18G Growler, or maybe the backseater on the Growler, he's controlling multiple unmanned systems that are out there carrying either sensors or maybe even missiles, and so you have a human in the loop or on the loop, but some of your nodes are unmanned, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, we got about 20 seconds left. Why should a high school student consider joining the Navy as a sailor, ROTC, or going to the Naval Academy?
Top choice, opportunity. It's opportunity to do anything you want in life with a wonderful education, a wonderful organization, and something that's bigger than yourself.
Admiral Mike Manazir, thank you so much. And on behalf of all of us at the American Legion, thank you for your service to our country.
Thank you, sir, for having me on the show.
Our pleasure. Great to hear from Admiral Manazir now with Boeing, and boy, you can tell he's right out of Top Gun.
He is, and he's got a lot of insight as to how to balance the past with the current and the future. You're listening to the Sons of the American Legion radio report here on WVOX 1460 and WVOX.com. I'm John Sharan for Ken Kraetzer and Jack McGurk, and we thank everyone for listening to this week's edition of the Sons of the American Legion radio report. Until next week, thank a veteran.
Westchester Soapbox, 1460 WVOX and WVIP HD2, New Rochelle.